Put all this together with Stuart Sweet, president of Capital Analyst Network. He joins us tonight from our Capital City Bureau in Washington, D.C. So, Stu, is what we saw today in the stock market with the sell-off the reaction to status quo?
No, I think that's an overstatement. Really, I think it's more of a reaction to what happened in Europe, where the EU central banker said that Germany was not looking so hot.
So instead of reacting to the election, it was Europe in your analysis. Let's talk about the economy here, though, with the fiscal cliff. You just heard the House Speaker, John Boehner, willing to accept new revenue. Harry Reid in the Senate, the leading Democrat there, saying can't push us around anymore. Is this the language that begins compromise?
Well, I think we will get a compromise, but it may be far more harrowing than perhaps investors expect. It may very well be that it takes place next year rather than this year. The problem is that John Boehner himself has one more election. He wants to be reelected as Speaker of the House. That does not take place till January 3rd, 2013. If he moves prematurely to cut a deal with Barack Obama, he faces a serious revolt in his own caucus and might very well cost him his leadership job.
Is your caution then don't expect a fiscal cliff solution before January 3rd? Is that what investors should expect?
Really, the best way out of this impasse for the time being is a gracious gesture from President-elect, re-elect President Obama. He should offer to extend the tax cuts and to defer the spending cuts perhaps till March of next year, giving John Boehner an opportunity to win his own re-election and as well as probably gather some goodwill on the Republican side of the aisle. If Mr. Obama doesn't see it that way, we are in for a rough ride until next January, I fear.
Well, next January is right around the corner for even short-term investors. You're talking about just 8 weeks away.
Yes, that's true, but let's not forget what happened on TARP 1 and TARP 2. The markets are certainly expecting there will be some kind of accommodation between these forces. If we spend 8 weeks, go all through the entire holiday season wrangling about going over the cliff, where Moody's keeps on threatening, and we're hearing about how the Congressional Budget Office says we're going to have a recession. If that's the kind of talk we hear, and we have angry talk in the holiday season, I don't think the markets are going to enjoy that, and I think it would trigger a sell-off.
Stu, let's talk about the markets here, because a couple of places that you've identified to watch that could benefit under the second term for President Obama: Medicaid managed care, Molina Healthcare, and WellCare health plans, each up about 4%. Is the market pricing in booming business with Medicaid?
Well, there may be some more upside. I think there probably is. You know, we've pretty much settled that Obamacare will become the law of the land, and that means something like 12 million additional customers for Medicaid insurers. You named two companies that have large exposures and upsides if indeed that comes through. The only possible fly in the ointment would be if a subsequent budget deal, they trimmed back Medicaid spending somewhat as part of this big package that John Boehner was talking about today. But overall, it's a very sunny situation.
Speaking of sunny, you're also looking at alternative energy to benefit under a second administration. Thanks for the setup there, Stu. First Solar being one of them, but share price fell by 4.5% today. Calgon Carbon, an interesting one. This is involved with cleaning up the emissions from coal-fired power plants.
Yes, well, all alternative energy that relies on tax credits, President Obama wants to extend these. It's clear from John Boehner's comments today he's open to reforming the tax code. We will have a discussion on taxes one way or the other. If President Obama wants to extend the alternative energy tax credits, he will probably be able to do so just simply by customary haggling with Speaker Boehner. You mentioned Calgon. One thing that did not happen in President Obama's first term was a green light being given to EPA to become as aggressive as they want to on ozone control. In a second term, EPA could be quite aggressive.
Okay.
And there are certain companies that would definitely benefit by ozone control.
Calgon perhaps being one of them. Do you own any of the four we mentioned?
I do own Calgon.
All right. Stu Sweet along with us, navigating politics and money. He's with Capital Analyst Network.